Hello everybody, Inter back again with another video. And today's video, guys, is going to be, of course, about the US Open. The last Grand Slam title of the year, the fourth Grand Slam title of the year, which will be held in New York, of course. And the US Open is just around the corner, and the draw has just been released. And I've looked at the draw, and I've looked at the draw, and I've looked at the draw to make my mind, to decide myself which of the players I would have as the favorites, which of the players I will have as dark horses. A couple of players I have been pretty sure about which places I will put them on my 8 favorite list, because I'm going to do a top 8 favorite list, my friends, like I usually do when it comes to Grand Slams. When it comes to Masters, I usually do top 5 favorites list, but when it comes to Grand Slams, you will follow my channel, know that I will do a top 8 favorite list when it comes to Grand Slams. And let's do not waste any time, my friends, so let's get into it. And you who follow my channel knows that it is pretty obvious that the number 8 place is the least likely player to win the event, and number 1 player is, of course, the most likely player to win the event. But all of the 8 players I am gonna mention can win the title, the US Open, of course. But the number 8 place obviously is the least likely one to win it, and number 7 place also least likely one to win it, and so forth. And number 1 place, of course, the most likely player to win it. All right, guys, let's get into it. On my number 8 place, I have Khachanov. Yeah, the big, tall Russian guy who has not won any title this year, but he has won a Master 1000 title before. That is his biggest win in his career. Of course, now it is to win a Grand Slam title is it's much more difficult than to win a Master, of course, because you have to win 7 matches. You have to win, and the matches are being played in 5 sets. But what I want to say, my point is that Khachanov, he has won a big title before in his career. So, and he defeated Novak Djokovic in that final in Paris last year, in Paris Masters indoors. So he has huge potential, and we know that he has a big game, especially a big forehand and a big serve. He doesn't have a tremendous good backhand, even though that shot that it has improved, but his 2 biggest weapons are the serve and the forehand, of course. So I think that, and he has a pretty decent draw. He has some dangerous players like Zverev on his quarterfinal section. Of course, Zverev is in that quarterfinal section as Khachanov. He has Tsonga, he has Schwartzman, he has Pair, Tiafoe as well. So a lot of dangerous players are in that quarterfinal section that Khachanov is in. So I am not 100% sure that Khachanov will make it to the quarterfinal. Of course I am not. But I will give Khachanov my number 8 place. I don't know, because I just feel that he can make it. He was in the 3rd round last year in the US Open, and he gave Rafael Nadal a pretty hard time. Rafa won in 4 sets, but those sets was very, very close, what I can remember. So, and he played the semi-final a couple of weeks ago in Montreal, lost to Daniil Medvedev there. It is not a shame to lose against Daniil Medvedev nowadays, to say the least. So I believe that Khachanov, he can make a run here. So he is on my number 8 place. And on my number 7 place, I have Roberto Bautista Agut, RBA. the Spaniard who has done a pretty solid year so far. He has not been amazing, but he has shown some solid results. He has defeated Novak Djokovic two times in hard courts, one time in Doha back in January and one time in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. And he was in that semi-final of Wimbledon as well last month. So and lost to Djokovic in that Wimbledon semi-final in 4 sets. So RBA, he's a dangerous player. I used to call him a light version of Novak Djokovic. Very, very solid from the baseline. Barely never misses. Very, very fast. Very, very consistent. But he lacks huge ground strokes, huge weapons. He doesn't have that real firepower. Of course, he has pretty good, solid ground strokes, but he doesn't have that tremendous firepower in his strokes. But he doesn't do a lot of unforced errors. He defends well. He is fast, and he is not easy to defeat. And hard court, I don't know. It seems like hard court is fitting his style really good, and that's why he has defeated Djokovic 2 times on hard court this year. Even though those matches, of course, have not been in Grand Slams, but to defeat the world number one, a superior world number one like Novak Djokovic, then you must be a very good tennis player, at least in my opinion. So RBA, he has won 1 title this year. So RBA, I think that I have him as on my number 7 place in my top 8 favorite list in US Open, and he has a pretty decent draw. He has Gasquet on his quarterfinal section of the draw. Gasquet played, I believe, in semifinals in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, lost to Goffin there, and Gasquet, I believe, defeated RBA in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, what I can remember. But all respect to Gasquet, but he has been pretty out of competition for a long time. So Gasquet to make it to that semi-final in Cincinnati was a really surprise, to me at least. And if Gasquet makes it to RBA in a round to play RBA in US Open, I don't think that Gasquet will defeat RBA in a 5-set battle. I don't think that. Maybe I will be wrong, but I just don't think that. And he has RBA has Tsitsipas as well in that quarterfinal section of the draw. But I don't believe in Tsitsipas so much. Tsitsipas will have his hand full in the first round to begin with. Tsitsipas will play Andrei Rublev already in the first round, and Tsitsipas can be upset there. I will not be surprised at all if Rublev defeats Tsitsipas in that first round. I believe Rublev defeated Tsitsipas in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. And Rublev can defeat Tsitsipas again. So I'm not counting that Tsitsipas will go to the quarterfinal in US Open, to be quite honest with you, my friends. And then he has Kyrgios. Kyrgios is always a dangerous dark horse. So RBA has Kyrgios as well in that quarterfinal section of his draw. So of course, I'm not sure that RBA will make it to the quarterfinal. You can never be sure on who of the players will make it. Besides a couple of players, I'm gonna come to those players later on. But from this, all the players who are from 8th place to at least the 4th place, you never can be sure. You never can be sure, my friends. Absolutely not. But I have RBA on my number 7 place on this list. So we go on, my friends. On my number 6 place, I have Kei Nishikori. Nishikori, he has won 1 title this year as well, exactly like RBA. And Nishikori played his 5th straight quarterfinal Grand Slam in Wimbledon, if I'm not mistaken. last month. So Nishikori is pretty consistent to making good results in quarterfinals when it comes to Grand Slams. But then he always loses, at least almost always loses against the big three, like we all know, and like I have talked about so many times before. Nishikori defeats all the players, but when it comes to Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, he always loses. Besides one occasion, one time when he defeated Novak Djokovic in US Open 2014 in that semifinal 5 years ago. So besides that, Nishikori has always lost against the big three when it comes to Grand Slam matches. So, but he is pretty solid and consistent against other players. So I feel that he deserves to be on my top 8 list, and I will put Nishikori on my 6th place on this top 8 favorite list in US Open. And Nishikori is pretty good on hardcourt. I believe that hardcourt suits Nishikori's playing style, because Nishikori is fast. He plays very fast from the baseline. He's a good baseline player, especially when he's in form. So he's not in his best form at the moment, but he at least played the quarterfinal at Wimbledon last month, lost to Federer there. So, and he played quarterfinals against Rafael Nadal in French Open. Rafa destroyed him there. So he's making those quarterfinals appearances. He's going to those quarterfinal matches. So I think that Nishikori deserves to be on my number 6 place. And then, guys, we have the top 5 list. And this top 5 list, when it comes to the number 8, number 7, and number 6 place, I haven't been sure which of the players I will put there. But when it had come to my number 5 top players, which players I will have, I have been pretty clear in my mind which of the players I will have. There, I have not been doubting myself whatsoever. On my number 5th place, I have Daniil Medvedev. Yes, the head hot fire Russian guy who is world number 5, his highest ever ranking in his career so far, and who has won 2 titles this year, won 250 title back in Bulgaria, in Sofia, I believe, and his biggest title in his career came just last week in Cincinnati when he defeated Novak Djokovic in the semifinals and then David Goffin in the final. And he has played, like we all know, 3 straight hardcourt finals this couple of weeks. In Washington, in Montreal, and then now in Cincinnati, where he was the victorious one and lifted his first ever Master 1000 title against David Goffin in that final. So Daniil Medvedev is red hot. He's really in good form. He has showed some great results the last couple of weeks. So it would be totally insane not to have him on my top 8 favorite list in US Open, and I have him as high as number 5. Maybe some of you, I don't know. Some of you maybe thinks, why do I not have him higher than 5th? I think that I am putting him pretty high enough on number 5 place, to be quite honest with you, my friends. Because if we look at his past, he has never played a quarterfinal match in Grand Slams. Yes. He has actually not done that. He has never done it in the past. He has never played a quarterfinal match in Grand Slams. His best performance in Grand Slams, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it is a 4th round, 7-8 months ago in Australian Open, when he played against Novak Djokovic and lost that match in that 4th round. But besides that, he has been losing pretty early in Grand Slams. I think he lost the first round in French Open, and I think he lost the 3rd round in Wimbledon against David Goffin. So he has some things to prove now in US Open, because he will have some big expectation, not only from me, but from many around the world as well, I believe at least. So I have him on my number 5th place, and I think that Daniil Medvedev will play his first ever quarterfinal in Grand Slams in this year's US Open. I really think that. Alright, we go on now on my number 4th place, and on my number 4th place I have Dominic Thiem. Even though the Dominic Thiem has not been playing superb, amazing tennis the last couple of weeks, especially on this North American hardcourt swing, he has not been showing any great results these couple of weeks, but we all know what kind of potential Dominic Thiem have, what kind of huge heavy ground strokes Dominic Thiem have. We know that he has won 3 titles this year. Alright, 2 of them have been on clay, but one of them was a big one in Indian Wells when he won his first ever Master 1000 title in his career and defeated Roger Federer in that final. So, and the US Open surface is pretty similar to Indian Wells. Even though I have heard rumored that it will be faster this year, but I never think that it will be as fast as Australian Open or as fast as Wimbledon. Never. Even though that it will be probably faster than last year, but it will still be pretty slow to suit Dominic Thiem playing style, I believe, to suit his huge long swings, because we all know that Dominic Thiem has very long cuts both with his forehand and his backhand, and he needs time, and slow surfaces suit his game perfectly, and I think US Open will suit him. And we saw that already last year when he almost defeated Rafael Nadal in that epic 5-set battle in that quarterfinal. So Dominic Thiem will be dangerous, and I think that he is on my number 4th place. Yeah, he has some dangerous opponents on his quarterfinal section. He has Felix, he has Monfils, he has Edmund, and he has not been showing, some, like I said, great result the last couple of weeks in this hard court swing in North America. But I think that he will now when it is Grand Slams and 5 sets suits him. He is strong, like he's a beast physically. He really is. Dominic Thiem, Nadal, and Djokovic are, in my opinion, the strongest players physically in the world, and I honestly have never seen Dominic Thiem tired on a tennis court. I really haven't. Even when he played 5 hours against Rafael Nadal in last year's quarterfinal in US Open, he was looking so fresh. So Dominic Thiem, I think it is time for him to make a deep run outside French Open, because he has not done a deep run outside French Open besides that quarterfinal appearance in last year's US Open. So I think that Dominic Thiem, he can play a semi-final in US Open. That is my feeling anyway. On my number 3rd place, guys, I have Roger Federer. I had Roger Federer on my number 3rd place in Wimbledon, and I have Roger Federer on my number 3rd place in US Open as well. I think Roger Federer is not higher than this. This is, in my opinion, enough high. He is 38 years old. We should never forget that, even though that he has a very economic playing style. Well, he doesn't have a brutal tennis style like Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic, where he plays long, brutal rallies. The age is still very high as a tennis player to be 38 years old, and not only the age. The competition is very difficult to have Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal as your biggest rivals. Nowadays, he has to defeat both of them to win a Grand Slam title, because he's the number 3rd seed, and Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, they have to lose before the semifinals or the final for Roger Federer to avoid them. And that is not very likely that Djokovic and Nadal will do that, so Federer has to go through them, like he was forced to do in Wimbledon. He went through one of them, Nadal, and he almost went through the second one as well, Djokovic, in that final, where we all know he was only 1 point away, but unfortunately couldn't couldn't convert. So, and he had to do similar thing here in US Open, but now the opposite. Now he has Djokovic on his side of the draw and not Nadal like he had in Wimbledon. And I just don't think that Federer. I hope Federer proves me wrong like he did in Wimbledon when he defeated Nadal in the semi-final. I just can't see Federer defeating Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals. I just can't see that. Even though I'm a big believer that I think that Federer's chances are little more better. I feel so. Maybe I'm wrong. To face Djokovic better, he faces Djokovic in the semi-final than in the final because Federer has not defeated Djokovic in the Grand Slam final in how many years is it now? 12 years. 2007, the only time that Federer has defeated Novak Djokovic in a Grand Slam final. 2007 US Open, 12 years ago, my friends. And in semi-final, in a Grand Slam final 12 years ago where Federer defeated Novak Djokovic in US Open 2007. So Federer has been more successful against Novak Djokovic in semi-finals, so I think that it is better for Federer to face Novak Djokovic in a semi-final. That is my feeling anyway, maybe I'm wrong. So Federer is on my number 3rd place. On my number 2nd place in US Open as the favorite, I have been pretty clear on my mind about this as well, even though that the player that I have on my number 1 place did lost last week, and the player I'm talking about, of course, is Novak Djokovic. He lost against Medvedev in that semi-finals, like we all remember. On my number 3rd place, on my number 2nd place, I have Rafael Nadal. Rafael Nadal, he won Montreal. He looked pretty solid in Montreal. He didn't look amazing in my opinion. But he did his job. He won. He was the number 1 seed in Montreal, and he delivered and he won. He destroyed Daniil Medvedev in that final. He baggled him in the 2nd set, like we all remember. And US Open suits his game really well. He has won it 3 times. He has been in 4 finals. He's on my number 2nd place. Rafael Nadal, I'm pretty convinced that Rafael Nadal will not lose to a tennis player who's not named Roger Federer or Novak Djokovic in US Open. I'm pretty convinced about that. Like I've said before in my videos, Rafael Nadal takes really good care of all the players nowadays, besides Djokovic and Nadal, at least this year. In National Open, Rafa lost against Djokovic in that final. In Wimbledon, Rafa lost against Federer in that semi-final. But all the other players are not even close to defeating Rafa Nadal. They were not close in National Open, they were not close in Wimbledon. So, and I don't think that nobody will be close of defeating Rafa Nadal in US Open as well. And if Rafa loses, which I believe he will, in the end, it will be against Djokovic or Nadal or Federer, most likely Djokovic. So Nadal I have on my number 2nd place. Nadal has won 3 titles this year, two in clay and 1 in hard court, and Federer has won also 3 titles. I forgot to mention that Federer has won 3 titles as well this year. 2 on hard courts and 1 on grass. And Nadal has won 3 titles this year, 2 on clay and 1 on hard courts. So he has done a solid year. He has won 1 Grand Slam title in French Open, which was not a surprise. Pretty expected. So he has done a solid year, Rafael Nadal. Not an amazing year, but solid year. He's after all 33 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So he's not 25 years old anymore. So what can we expect? He cannot win 10 tournaments in each year like he did when he was 25 years old. So on my number 1 place, I have Novak Djokovic, the defending champion, the US Open defending champion from last year, the superior world number 1 who has won 3 titles as well, exactly like Nadal and Roger Federer in this year, and Dominic Thiem as well. But Novak Djokovic is the player who has won the most prestige titles this year. He has won 2 Grand Slams, Australian Open and Wimbledon, and nobody of the other players has won 2 Grand Slams this year. The only player the only other player who has won a Grand Slam, obviously it is Rafael Nadal, French Open. And Novak Djokovic has won one Masters as well, Madrid. So Novak Djokovic has won big titles. Big title this year. Not so many titles, only 3, but all of 3 of them are big titles. So Novak Djokovic is aiming to, he's going for those slams as most. He has said it himself. I am most motivated. I want to do my best on. I want to peak on slams, and that is his main goal, to peak on slams. And he has really done that. Besides in French Open when he lost to Dominic Thiem in that semifinals. But on the other slams, Australian Open and Wimbledon, he has won them this year, even though he was very, very close of losing to Federer. But in the end of the day, he was the last man standing, and not Roger Federer. And Novak Djokovic, I think, will be the last man standing in US Open as well, my friends. I'm not saying that he's unbeatable. He can be beaten in US Open. Absolutely, he can be beaten. He has a pretty hard draw actually to be a number 1 seed. He has not an easy draw. He really hasn't. He can't face Stan Wawrinka in the 4th round. If Stan Wawrinka makes it there, and we all know that Stan Wawrinka is very unpredictable, even though that Stan Wawrinka is not the old Stan Wawrinka from the old days when he won 3 Grand Slam titles in his career, but it is still Stan Wawrinka. And you never know what can happen. He can give Novak Djokovic troubles. He has done it in the past, even though the Stan Wawrinka is not as good as a tennis player nowadays, but he can give Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic troubles. And he can face Stan Wawrinka in the 4th round. He can face Daniil Medvedev in the quarterfinals. He can face Roger Federer in the semifinals, and then Rafael Nadal. So Novak Djokovic, if I could say something, who of these three big players, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, has the toughest draw, I will say Novak Djokovic. But it is Novak Djokovic, the superior world number 1. I think that it will not be easy, but I think he will be the last man standing in US Open. So Novak Djokovic is my number one favorite in US Open. So we will have this kind of quarterfinals. We will have Federer, Nishikori, the first quarterfinal. I think Federer will be the victorious there. We will have Djokovic, Medvedev. I think Djokovic will be the victorious there, even though Medvedev has defeated Novak Djokovic 2 times this year. But that did RBA as well. Defeated Novak Djokovic 2 times this year in Doha and in Miami. But we all saw what happened in Wimbledon. So it is not these victories that Djokovic loses outside Grand Slams. We should not take too much serious about them. Yeah, we should look at them, but we should not be too much concerned about that, because Kohlschreiber defeated Novak Djokovic as well in Indian Wells, but we all saw what Djokovic did to Kohlschreiber in that first round of Wimbledon. So Medvedev, he has to prove that he can defeat Novak Djokovic in the slams as well. And will he do that in that quarterfinal? Yeah, he maybe will do it, but I don't have Medvedev the favorite in that quarterfinal match against Djokovic. So I have Djokovic as the winner in that quarterfinal match against Medvedev. Then the third quarterfinal we have between RBA and Thiem. I think Thiem will be victorious in that quarterfinal. Between Thiem and RBA, I think Thiem will win there. And then the last quarterfinal we have between Nadal and Khachanov, and I think Nadal will defeat Khachanov in that quarterfinal. I know that, like I said, Khachanov did give Rafa a run for his money in last year's US Open 3rd round, where Rafa won in 4 close sets. But Rafa is just too consistent. He's too solid. He's a superior baseline player who barely never misses. So you have to show some spectacular performance to defeat Rafael Nadal, and you have to do it in 4-5 hours. And do I believe that Khachanov has that in him? No, I don't think so. And then the semifinals we will have between Federer and Djokovic. I think Djokovic will be victorious there. And then the other semifinal will obviously be between Nadal and Thiem. I think that Nadal will be the victorious there. And then we will have a US Open final between the world number 1 and the world number 2, Novak Djokovic against Rafael Nadal. And I think Novak Djokovic will be the victorious there, the winner there. And I think, like I said, I think that Novak Djokovic will lift his 17th Grand Slam title. I have noticed one thing, that when Novak Djokovic has won Wimbledon and Australian Open, which he did in 2011, 2015, he has went on to win US Open as well. So every time he has won Australian Open and Wimbledon, these two titles, when he has won these two titles, every time he has done it, when he has won these two titles in the same year, he has always won US Open as well. 2 times that has happened previous in his career. 2011 he won Australian Open and Wimbledon, and then went on to win US Open as well. And 2015 he won Australian Open and Wimbledon, and then he went on to win US Open as well. So I think he will win. He will do the same in this year. When he has won Australian Open and Wimbledon, I think he will win US Open as well. So that was my preview about US Open. I will have some dark horses as well. Why not dark horse Kyrgios? Kyrgios is always dangerous with that huge serve, with that huge forehand, and with this unpredictable playing style. He can do everything on the court if he has his head together, if he's steady mentally, he can do some damage. So I think he's one of the dark horses. Stan as well. Stan always is one of my dark horses. Why Rublev as well? Why not have Rublev as a dark horse as well? He defeated Federer in Cincinnati. He defeated Thiem in Hamburg. He defeated Tsitsipas in Cincinnati as well. So why not have Rublev as a dark horse as well? And why not as a player like Monfils to have a dark horse as well? Monfils can always do big damages. We all know that Monfils has a big game in him. So those are my 4 dark horses. All right, guys. So there you have my US Open preview for this year, 2019. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and bye bye.